Taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy, T.O., as you know.
It's your boy, O-Rain. Real name, no games, no gimmicks.
It's the motherfucking Fade Podcast, the one-stop shop for everything TV, media, and flow related, along with any of the goddamn thing we want to talk about, coming to you live direct, Proof of Concept Studios. What the fuck is up? What's happening?
So we're doing the show on a different day today. We typically record
Yeah.
on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Now we're doing it on Sunday.
Different vibe.
It
Different
feels
vibe.
a little bit different because this feels like the day that belongs to football, but we don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't know, it's eerie.
How are you going through the withdrawal? How are you coping?
It hasn't hit yet. Like I know,
Ow.
like we watched the Super Bowl, but like I feel like once we're like a month out, and it's like damn,
We're like a week past it, yeah? Because last week wasn't the Super Bowl, it was the week before.
the week before, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still feels like
Are you just like, it's taking a week off? It's fine.
yeah. It
It'll
still
be back.
feels like it was the other day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I remember the Super Bowl like it was like literally like it was last week or something like that. I know it was 2 weeks ago, but like once we get to the point where it's like yo, we haven't had football in a month.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna be like oh shit, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's again like I'll repeat what I think I said last week, which is I feel like it sets in the week of the Pro Bowl because usually I have no interest in watching anything Pro Bowl related. So it's like the first Sunday where I don't watch football in like months, and it at that point it just sets in like yeah. This is it. This is my life. This is gonna be my life
For me, I think it's like when baseball season really kicks off. That's what I'm just like.
when does baseball season really kick off?
I don't know.
May, June? Nah,
It's already
think it's-
kicked off.
It's already kicked off. It's already started.
Yeah, because you got spring training.
Yo, nobody cares about
Wait.
baseball.
I thought spring training was just like spring training where they just like, you know,
Train in the
start
spring.
working out. But like is that the official kickoff to the baseball season?
Yeah.
Spring training? Oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah, absolutely.
But like when is Orioles opening day? I thought that wasn't until like April.
No,
Yeah.
it's like end of March.
Oh,
No,
okay,
middle,
but
end
the
of
season
March,
hasn't
something like that.
started though, right? Like they're still in training. though.
You're talking about the actual
yeah,
season
the
now.
actual season.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So that
Makes sense.
happens around like early to mid March, right? So right?
Usually, it used to be, I think, April, but now
Okay.
they just keep moving it.
They
But
move
now
it- they move
I
it
think the
up and
Orioles are
add
going to
more
have
games?
they're going to have their first opener in mid-March in Boston or something like that. So it's still going to be like I don't know, 35 degrees. Fucking Boston.
Who the fuck wants to be out watching baseball in
who the
35
fuck? Like,
degrees? That sounds
not
awful.
enough happens to like keep you like
No.
excited the whole time. At least in
No.
football games,
You're
like,
very cold,
You're,
yeah.
you're like, oh no, oh
Yeah.
yeah, like touchdown. Like, but baseball, it might just be like,
Here, bada bada bada.
Yeah, that's it. Fuck no, I'm not going
For
to a
5
baseball game
hours.
in Boston in March. So yeah, Orioles opening day is March 30th.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to be in the thick of it. Like, fuck no football. We got to pay attention to baseball shit now.
We don't have to.
Low batting percentages. We're celebrating that.
Do you watch baseball?
Fuck no. I'll go to a game.
Yeah.
Just like going to any live of sporting event is always
It's
like
fun, yeah.
fun. But watch baseball on TV?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
It's
How do you do?
I mean, I used to. Like I used to be
Jesus.
so into it, but dude, it gets boring, man. Yeah, I just trained with some of our soccer kids on Friday, and one of them I can't keep training with because he's starting baseball, and even he was like, I've played it my whole life, but it's just getting boring. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, he was like, I'm a right fielder at times. Like if you don't have a left-handed batter, like
Oh my
the ball
God.
doesn't come to me, and unless I get a hit, I get no action. Like, it's boring, man. It's a dying sport, honestly. It's so regional that like only 3 or 4 teams carry the entire league. You know, the way that they have the players union, like, dude, the MLB players union is like the fucking strongest union that there is. Like, you get fully guaranteed contracts, and like even if you get hurt, like unless there's some sort of like, you know, injury settlement or something like that, like I forgot, like the Orioles were paying Albert Bell for like 20 straight years, like millions of dollars after the fact. Like, it's crazy, man. I think Chris Davis is still getting paid.
yeah. I mean,
It's insane.
Baseball money is insane. These teams just have so much money, and it's like, and I get, but like the viewership is insanely low compared to like NFL, right? And then the revenue that they bring in for like, you know, ticket sales and fucking what is it, like jersey sales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's low compared to the NFL.
Yeah.
But the money is still like rushing
Yeah,
into now. Where's
yeah,
it coming from?
I don't know.
I
where it's
think
coming from.
MLB prints their own money.
Well, probably from
It's
all the
TV
TV deals. Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
And they do play a lot of games. Baseball, the season's like 180 something games or something like that, right?
As sad as that is to
Or
say, yeah.
I think it might be like 162 games in a baseball season. So you have
And you
all of
watch
those
like
games.
3.
Yeah, it's way too
my
much.
God.
You know people who have like season tickets and go to every home game.
Yeah, no, I know people who have season
God.
tickets.
I don't think
that's a trek, man.
I don't think baseball season tickets are for like 162 games. I think it's usually like a package, like, you know, you get the like premium games, or you can get like maybe like a 20 game package or something like that. I highly doubt.
That sounds disrespectful to all the other games. Like, is it like, oh, you're playing against this shit team, so
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
could you imagine, like in football, if they're just like, yo, you're playing the Commanders this week?
What do you mean?
That is not a premium game. Like, you know how they just label like a game like non-premium?
Yeah.
Like they're just like,
Oh
we
yeah,
just-
that would be crazy. It's like, well, why are we gonna play that? You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point.
like
is
they're
that-
in the league, right? Like what the fuck are we doing here?
I guess it's just like, I'm just playing to have fun. Like half of the baseball season is like, just fucking go out there and have fun. You know, see what happens, and then once we get around to like the summertime, then we'll start taking it seriously.
Then it's
Yeah, but-
real, yeah.
But think of it like this, like if you're somebody who spends, I don't know, if they did have season tickets that were for 162 games, and say like you know you get some quality seats at Oriole Park, that's what, $50 maybe a ticket, like you're spending $8,000.
Yeah.
And then think of it like this, it's like, okay, you can't go to one of those games. There's no resale value for that.
No,
like you can get
there's
tickets
zero
to an
resale.
Orioles game at any time, any moment
Yeah.
of the game. It can be the 9th inning. If they would let you in, they would probably sell you a ticket.
And in baseball, unlike football, I truly don't give a shit where I sit with baseball because it's kind
Yeah.
of, it doesn't really mean anything, right? Like I guess if you sit closer, it's like, okay, maybe
can
this
catch
is
a
like a
ball.
little bit more interesting, but also I don't want to catch a ball with my face. So, you know,
Yeah, I got a video on my Instagram of the one time a foul ball came right to me, and you can see me on screen and everything, and I recorded it.
Did you catch
Trying
it?
to no, I did not.
God damn it, Eddie.
Yo,
What the
that thing
fuck?
comes flying at you, man. I had no glove.
Hey,
it was just my bare
hey,
hands.
stay alert.
You just ducked out the way?
Yeah, I don't know how like the dads with their babies holding them
Oh
in their
my
arm
God.
catch it with one hand.
You got to. Just put your hand up.
Hell no.
Fucking stab
I
it.
shielded Anna. That
Stab
was
the
about
air.
it.
You shielded it. Or did she shield you? Eddie? Come on.
Maybe she did. Maybe she did.
Well, yeah, I have seen the videos of that guy. There's one video where the guy is like, I think a
Holding a
baseball's
baby.
coming to him. He's
Yeah.
holding a baby and a beer.
Yeah.
I think he like midair kind of like drops the baby, catches the ball,
Then picks the
catches
baby back up.
It was,
Yeah,
it
it's
was
amazing.
epic, but also I'm sure he lost custody
Yeah.
that day.
She took that video to court
Oh my
real
God,
fast.
yeah.
She's just like, look at this deadbeat.
Yeah, he lost custody. I'm
First
like,
of all,
God,
you spilled beer on the baby, and then you almost dropped the
Definitely
baby.
spilled some beer on the baby.
Yeah. The baby, I think, took a couple sips of beer.
probably the baby was holding the cup.
All right, let's get to some shit here. So we got some movies coming out this week. This week we have hold on, let my fucking notes load here. Cocaine Bear
Yeah.
it comes out this
I wanna
week.
see this.
Yeah, looks like a really interesting movie. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit last week. Ray Liotta, his final, I think, film before he passed away. And so, just a really interesting. I wouldn't even call it interesting. Just weird. Weird scenario, weird story, and done in a way I think, as far as like the trailer makes it look, it's just like this really they're really leaning into the absurdity of it all.
I mean, it is an insane story to begin with. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you're going to tell the story, if you're going to make a movie about it,
Yeah, you can't.
you just do it up. Like, do the thing.
As Walter White once, or I don't know if it was Gus or Walter White, said, no half measures.
It sounds like
remember
a Walter White thing.
Yeah.
Where he's like, don't half-ass it. Like,
Yeah.
if we're going to cook, let's cook.
Let's cook. Oh my God, I gotta go back and watch Breaking Bad again. I fucking love that
Yeah.
shit. I love it so much.
But-
You want to cook? He always said it in like a very distinct way.
And is that Bryan Cranston? Like, has he played another role like that? Where he's like that intense and that serious?
I'm sure he must have. I haven't watched
Yeah.
if he has, but
But
I don't know if
he did
he's
like really get into that character.
He's menacing,
which is why that show is so great because
yeah.
he's like super
Have you gone back and watched it?
I've not. I'm not a big go back and watcher kind of guy.
You say that, but you do with certain things.
Certain things that like I can watch casually and not pay attention to. But if I go back and watch Breaking Bad, and I might one day, I would definitely want to like really pay attention.
Yeah.
And take note of things that I didn't catch the first time.
Yeah, I did that.
But that's a heavy
semi
lift,
recently.
you know?
Yeah, I think it was maybe like a few months ago. I went back and watched Breaking Bad. It still holds up, man. Like it's every bit as good as you could like. Because sometimes you remember something, you're like, oh, is it really that fucking? It's that fucking.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
It's.
I may go back
legendary.
and watch it one day.
Yeah, such a great show.
But yeah, Cocaine Bear. This I saw this little clip of someone explaining the movie. Right, he was like, "Here's an explanation of Cocaine Bear." The whole thing is in the title. It's cocaine. There's the bear. The bear does cocaine. Like that's all you need to know about the movie.
It's
like that's legit
though.
all you need to know. And it's like if anyone ever asks you how was Cocaine Bear, it's like there's a bear on cocaine. Like that's how it was. It just sounds amazing. That's really all you need to know. So I'm definitely gonna go see this movie. I can't fucking wait.
So next week we got Creed 3 comes out. It was delayed, I think, because it typically would come out in November. It was delayed until March. And so this one obviously brings back Adonis Creed, who is played by Michael B. Jordan. He's also directing the film. And also there's a little bit of controversy, not controversy, but a little bit of dramas with it because Sly's not in it. So, and he said, I'll never go back and watch Creed 3. And I can't, because I think we kind of went through this with Stallone a little bit before where he was talking about what I think it was Rocky that he was talking about getting back like the rights or something like that to Rocky. And it's like, bro, at a certain point, and I understand that's money, right? Clearly, right? And to also be able to do whatever the fuck you want with the property. But like, and especially if you actually came up with the shit, but at a certain point, you gotta fucking just let go. Let it go.
You sold it. Now, granted, you may have sold it not knowing what it would become.
Yeah.
But like, if you sell a house and then someone buys it and flips it and renovates it, you can't be like, yo, I want that house back.
But I think where he would contend here is that he was every bit instrumental in terms of building the brand. He was Rocky, literally, in a literal sense. And so it wasn't like they did it independent of him. He has as much credit as anybody to build that franchise. But I think his bitterness over this Creed thing, where he wasn't in the story, and like I think the reason why I find it a little weird is because it's like, well, Creed, it's Creed. Yeah. Like, I understand you're Rocky and you built this franchise and yada, yada. But also, it's a fucking Creed movie. It's not a Rocky movie, right? So you not being in it or them not coming up with the specific like role for you, I don't think it's a slight to you. But it's like this thing they call like founder syndrome, right? Like where it's just like you can't let go of the fucking thing and then it starts to tank because you won't let it go. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like for this story with Adonis to progress, he has to stand on his own, just both in a from a story standpoint, as well as just like in a practical like life standpoint. I think it's correct and it should be a proud thing to watch Michael B. go on. Yeah,
watch the thing you created now kind of take legs and build a life of its own. Right, new story. Like I feel like he should be proud that like people liked Rocky so much that they bought into Creed, and then now Creed is like in its third installment.
Yeah,
like
it's its own thing.
That is just the success of the thing that like the thing that you created to begin with now is so successful that like new stories are being told.
Yeah,
I get it. It sucks that he's not a part of it, but it also wouldn't make sense for him to be a part. I don't know how he would be a part of this story because this is Adonis Creed. Years into his career, I think he took like a 3-year break, and then now he's coming back to boxing to fight his like former training mate. I believe like that's the story that's happening. It's like how would Stallone be involved?
Like former friend.
Yes, former friend. Yeah. But I think he used to train at that boxing school. Then his friend like went to jail or something like that. Yeah. Like how would Stallone be involved? Like would it be like a phone call or something?
No. I think he could be involved in terms of like you can like he would play basically the role of that Mickey played. Yeah. For him, he would just play for Adonis, which he has, I think, up until this point, obviously, right? But the problem, I think, with Stallone is I think he wanted like an actual like storyline where it's just like, like in I think Creed 2, he had like, some sort of disease or something like that, right? like I think he was like kind of dying a little bit, and then that was like a kind of storyline. But it's like, you just why can't you like? Are you that prideful that you can't just do like kind of like just a cameo where you just come through, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say a couple
That
lines
would be
and then
enough,
dip out.
just a nice little cameo.
And honestly, at this point in the story, I feel like that makes more sense than anything else. Is like for Adonis to then come out to you and be like, all right, Rocky, like let's take care of your storyline that we have to serve for 30 minutes of this film.
For no fucking reason.
Yeah, like I feel like Anyways, but but all the credit to Stallone. I think he's cultivated this property over a lifetime, man, and it's fucking awesome. I was actually just watching. I'm about to talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme here in a minute, and I was watching him and Stallone in or at least a clip of them in the Expendables, and just like Stallone, I think more than Schwarzenegger has carved out like a true like niche for himself in the history of like film, like I don't know if there's been anybody else like Stallone. Like again, like Arnold is probably the biggest recognized
Love Arnold,
action.
but Stallone's my guy. When it comes to like these like the action heroes, like the 80s, 90s action heroes, like of the guys that are still doing it. I mean, Steven Seagal is still making movies. Like
Somehow.
Jackie Chan is still like. I love Jackie Chan too. Yeah,
people have turned on Jackie Chan because once he got wind of his like politics, it's like I don't know if Jackie's cool anymore. I don't know.
I don't know shit about his politics, but I know he is caked up in China. He's like his money is stupid
it's very long.
in China.
Yeah, well, that's why he's with this politics shit.
Yeah,
That's how you keep it long.
True. However, I can avoid taxes, whatever side I have to be on, Republican, Democrat. Like let's not close these loopholes. Let's keep them wide the fuck open. But like, let's be real though. Stallone could still sell a movie, right?
Yeah.
Lead actor in theaters, like big blockbuster movie, big budget, like he can still do it. I don't know if Arnold is really pulling as much weight.
Well, I don't
as
even
Stallone is.
I don't even know if that's what I mean. Like I meant from the perspective of like there's nobody else who I think is like a writer director or actor director, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, no, you give him writing credit on Rocky, right?
Yeah,
So
like he wrote Rocky.
Actor,
I don't, but I guess the reason why I hesitated that is because I don't know how much of everything that came after that he actually wrote. In fact, I'm pretty confident that he did. Obviously, he had something to do with it, but I don't know if he necessarily. Anyways, besides my point. The point I'm trying to make is that there hasn't really been anybody else in his same lane. From that perspective, that he's an actor who has these like big blockbuster films that also stars in the films and sometimes directs the films. I literally can't say who, like there's other writer directors, right? You can Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, actually has Matt Damon directed anything? I'm not sure. I might just be lopping him in with Ben Affleck, sure. Clearly, right? But nobody who's done it at, I think, the scale that Stallone has done it, and it, every time I see him now lately, like I remember I was watching a making of the Rambo movie, but it was just called, I think, Rambo, not the last one that came out, but I think the one where he is clearly old as fuck and still came back. I was shown, and not a great movie, but I remember just seeing him go through the process of being the director / being an actor and what he was actually like putting his body through as he's trying to like direct and like. Yeah,
didn't he like break his like foot or hand or something like that while filming and still kept filming?
Yeah, he got like a splinter stuck in his arm and it was creating this like fucking clot or some shit on his arm. And he was still like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it.
Replace the arm.
Fucking bionic arm. I think, anyways, so this whole thing with Creed thing, it kind of, it makes me a little like, come on, dude, just, you're fucking it up now.
Yeah.
But I still appreciate him as a.
Yeah, I don't love him any less. It's just kind of like, hey, dude, just let it go. Yeah. Enjoy the thing. Yeah. But Creed 3, this movie looks good. Yeah. Fucking Michael B. Jordan.
We'll see, man. I still have Jonathan Majors is going to be in it. And it's bringing back basically everybody except for Stallone.
Is Emma Thompson going to be in it?
Emma Thompson's going to be in it. I'm curious to see how this is going to turn out because I think one of other the only other Michael B. Jordan project that I remember seeing was that it was like a sci-fi movie, I think, that he came out with. It was like Fahrenheit something or whatever, whatever it was called. But I just remember strongly not liking the movie. I love him as an actor. I think he's great. But it was like, this is not it for me. So we'll see.
With this one, I feel like there's enough historical, like, you kind of like, hey, like,
he's got enough to like kind of stand on.
Do the boxing thing, tell a great story. Let the action, let the fights be good. You know, some drama outside of the ring. Like we've done this 8, 9, 10 times before. Just don't fuck it up. Don't make it too far of a departure from what we've got, because like we like the thing, right? Like we want the boxing, Stallone, Rocky, Creed shit. Just don't try and do anything too crazy and different. Make the fight scenes good, and that's all you gotta do. Then let's get the fuck out of here. That's all you gotta do.
I was listening to him talk about the some of the scenes, the boxing scenes specifically, and how he was saying how he was inspired by anime actually, and he was like rattling like all these like animes that kind of inspired him. But he then, it was like there's one specific fight in the movie or specific exchange in the movie between him and Jonathan Majors' character that was directly like inspired by Frieza and Goku's fight. And it was like, when they're like giving each other like the gut punches, and it's like this really like stylized like way. He was like that came directly from Dragon Ball. How fucking cool is that, dude? That's all I need to hear. That it's so cool that like you can be a kid watching fucking like anime and shit, and then like years later you're like,
that thing is being like
back.
That style or that like
it inspires,
the artistry is now being input in other things that you enjoy as an adult. Fucking that's all I need to hear.
Okay, another movie that's coming out. I just thought I'd mention Children of the Corn. They're coming out with a remake, I guess, of Children of the Corn.
Never seen the original.
You never saw it. Interesting.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this remake really is for me, or is it?
Who's it?
Is
for?
it a continuation,
or
are they just remaking the whole thing?
I believe it's a remake. I don't think it's.
What's Children of the Corn about? It's kids out in the cornfield, just
basically
fucking people up?
like basically just like kids like being evil and shit.
But like, what did it take place out in the cornfield or on a farm or some shit like that?
So, implied.
Listen, that doesn't like. There are certain things that like sound terrifying that aren't scary to me, just because I would never be in those situations.
But what if you were in a situation?
But I wouldn't be.
What do you mean? If you're driving cross country,
I don't drive cross country. I fly. A drive across country sounds fucking terrible.
So you're telling me you've never taken a long drive somewhere?
The furthest
you've never traveled to Southern Maryland. You've never driven somewhere.
So the furthest I've driven was up to Rhode Island, right?
Okay, but what if there's a cornfield on your way to Rhode Island?
Go around that bitch.
You run out of gas.
Listen, whenever I'm out in farmland, I'm like, yo, like, do not stop. Just keep going. Like, I don't care what.
Wait, so you're that petrified of it that you're just like, no, we're not.
I'm not even petrified of like the scary shit, right? It's what I'm worried about is like stopping at a gas station and some like fucking hicks pull up in a pickup truck and I'm like, damn, I got to deal with racism. I'm just trying to go see this live music event. Like that's what I'm worried about. Fucking some old sheriff who's been on the job too long, like flattens my tire and he's like, oh, you got a flat tire.
I surprisingly
now I get raped or something.
Jesus, that story took a turn. I'm surprisingly like when I am in situations like that, I'm surprisingly like not worried. Not because I don't think I'm going to encounter any racism, but because I don't know. There's something in my brain that's just like, no, they're not going to do something crazy, right? And I know false, right? They're clearly right.
No, I never feel that safe.
But I've noticed in myself, I never really get like nervous or like, oh fuck, like what's going on? I'm aware, I'm head on a swivel, but I'm never really like. I never have a fear of stopping at a place. Now, if it's at night and it's like a gas station that like there's a single bulb like lighting the entire place, I might not go in there, right? But that's just more for I don't want to get Jeepers Creepered here, because I feel like that's the setting for something to happen that I don't want to have happen.
Whenever I do take a long drive, and whenever you get to that point where it's like, hey, we're gonna hit a patch here of like a back road or some shit like that, I'm like, let's fill up now, right? Just so we don't get into a dumbass situation where we got to stop somewhere.
What if you catch a flat? You just keep driving.
Is this a rental? Keep driving. Let Enterprise
Sparks
rental car deal
flying
with this
everywhere.
shit. That's why I got the extra
Oh, my
insurance.
God. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's jump to some other headlines. Paul versus Fury fight today.
Yeah. I am interested in this one. I'm not like, the big name boxing guys, right? There's like Tyson, there's Wilder, there's who's it, Joshua Anthony, and obviously you can get like a UFC. You got McGregor. Like there are the big names. Boxing has taken somewhat of a downturn just because of how long it takes to put these fights together.
You think so? I think boxing's made a kind of a comeback a bit.
Slowly, but let's be real. Like the real show is UFC, right? Because UFC, they have big fights like once a month. I think they have a UFC fight almost like if not every weekend, every other weekend.
Yeah, but are they names that people would like recognize or like know?
I think more so now. Like I know. Well, maybe that's just because I'm a UFC fan and I'm not like a huge boxing fan. But I feel like there are more UFC guys. Like Conor McGregor is like as recognizable as Floyd Mayweather. He's fought a lot more than Mayweather did. Mayweather's fought like, in his professional career, I don't know how many fights he has.
He's got over 50.
He's got over 50 like title defenses.
Yeah, I think 50 fights.
50 fights?
Yeah, professional fights.
Yeah. You know what? I think at one point he was like 50
has a record, yeah.
But like I feel like UFC guys, they just fight more often. They fight bigger fight. They'll take a fight on like 3 weeks notice, 2 months notice,
Yeah, but I think that kind of that dilutes it a little bit. No,
it gives the fans more of what they want. Like I want to see the top guys fight the top guys often, right? Whereas in boxing, Mayweather may fight once or twice a year. Like it took literally like 15 years for him to fight Pacquiao. And when they fought each other, they're both like old in their 40s or whatever. And it's like, oh God, we should have gotten this fight 20 years ago. But there's so much politics behind boxing that
but I think
these fights are so slow.
I think that's more of a function of like that. To me, that doesn't have anything to do with how popular the thing is itself, right? Like, so for instance, I consider UFC and boxing as kind of like on par with each other these days, because I'm a casual viewer of both. I'm not really like a fan of either, but I think it's the same difference, right? Like, and I think that with this specific fight right here, where you have Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, I think people like Jake Paul are helping to bring back some sort of must-see TV-ness to boxing, like like not Mayweather did. I think in the way that's appropriate for the time period we're in. I think
he's like he's obviously has a big following, right? He's a social media guy.
Yeah.
And he kind of just talks his way into these fights, where I think there are other fighters who are probably better fighters who are just smaller name guys.
But I think it's the fact that he's a YouTuber, and it's also the fact that everybody wants to punch him in the fucking face that I think is the attracting force here. Like, I don't think anybody gives a shit about his there are people who actually do care about his like boxing skills, but clearly that's not why everybody is showing up today. They want to see him get knocked the fuck out.
Because I think one of them just got a UFC contract or something like that. Like not Jake Paul.
WWE. His brother Logan Paul. Actually, yeah. So he's actually pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, no. One of them like was with Dana White, and I think they announced like one of them signing with the UFC to do a fight soon or something like that.
Neither of them are going to get, because they will get fucked up.
Yeah, I think while it is interesting, that he's a YouTuber, and now he's like somewhat of a decent boxer, and now he has like a big fight against Tommy Fury, who's Tyson Fury's younger brother.
How did I not know that?
Really? Yeah,
I did not know that. Yeah.
I mean,
where are they from?
I think they're not Irish. Where are they from? I know Tyson Fury considers himself like a gypsy or something like that.
Okay.
He calls himself like he's like the Gypsy King is like his nickname. Where are gypsy people? They're British? From the UK?
Makes sense.
They were on UK level, but like they could
One
be from
was
like
on
Isles
UK,
of Man. I don't know.
Isles of Man.
Anyway, like I think this fight, while I am interested to watch it, I feel like it does dilute the sport a bit. Meaning, like you've got a YouTuber, right? A guy who just pretty much talks himself into these fights because people dislike him so much that they're like, fine, fuck it, fight this person, fight that. Well,
he hasn't really fought in any like box outside of Tommy Fury. Yeah.
Active young fighter he's ever going to fight. Like, he's fought. He fought. Who's the basketball player he fought?
I want to say Chris Bosh, but I know it wasn't Chris
no,
Bosh.
it wasn't Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh is tall as
I don't know why.
It would just jab him from 3-4 feet away.
He's not even in the ring.
It was Nate Robinson.
He fought Nate Robinson.
I mean, come on. Yeah, you fight Nate Robinson. You're not really being serious.
He fought the UFC fighter. I forget.
Was it? Is it? Daniel Cormier? No, it wasn't.
No. Daniel Cormier would fuck him up.
You
Oh
think so?
my god, yeah.
Was it Brock Lesnar?
No, it wasn't.
No, Brock Lesnar would murder him.
He fought. My god, his name is gonna come up. Sorry,
Yeah,
I gotta get to this.
I can see his face, but I can't. I don't remember what his name was.
Yeah, so I
it a
have him
Patty
right
guy?
here.
Is it who?
Patty.
No, it was Tyron Woodley.
Woodley.
So he fought Tyron
Yeah.
Woodley. Now Tyron Woodley was and is a professional fighter in the UFC.
He was. I think let's lean on that pretty hard.
So I think he retired from the UFC, right?
Yeah.
And his like boxing game was never his like strength. It was his like wrestling and then
Grappling,
his like jiu-jitsu and whatnot. So Jake Paul's never really fought like a true boxer, and especially someone not his age who's like
young and
active.
spry. Yeah.
So I think that this is going to be a good fight. But while I was saying it dilates the sports, like basically you just got a YouTube kid who just he's got enough money that he could hire boxing trainers to train him to box, and he talked his way into fights. Where there are real fighters out there who have been dying for a chance or a shot or a fight like this, who are not going to get it because this YouTube guy just has more followers.
But I think that's what I'm trying to say is that for the time period we're in, it makes all of the much more sense, right? Like for the time period we're in, it's less about like the skill. Like there's a reason why people aren't watching boxing is because it's kind of a boring sport. Like if you're not an actual like diehard boxing fan, right? But like so for instance, Mayweather's whole run, Mayweather obviously wasn't like knocking people out. It was like he was super defensive, and he was just like a really good defensive boxer, and that's boring, right? But when Mayweather still brings in a lot of money, but there's not really anybody else bringing in any,
Mayweather fights are boring, you're right, but his showmanship is like
exactly.
beautiful.
So that's what I'm saying. For the era that we're in, you need that showmanship, and there's like nobody else really. Like you could argue, I guess maybe a few years ago, you could argue what's his name, Adrian Bronner, was kind of in that same camp, but he just kept getting knocked out. So stop showing up to your fights then, right? So if you're looking at the trajectory of that, right, you go from the heavyweights of and obviously I'm going to skip a lot of generations here, but like you got the Alis, then you got the fucking Foremans, or I guess maybe that was at the same time. You got Tyson's, you have
Holyfield,
this, you have this progression, right? But then you get to the
Sugar Ray
Mayweathers.
Leonard, Sugar Shane Mosley, like they were big names back then.
But
now
they had showmanship, Ali, showmanship. When you look at Tyson in his own way, showmanship. When you look at Sugar Ray, showmanship. But you follow that progression, and then people stop watching the sport more, year after year, they stop watching it, and you need something to attract them back to the sport, right? So you get one of the biggest showmans of them all, which is these douchebag Paul brothers, to fight, and they're not terrible, right? It's not like he's just getting in there and people are just like leaning on him and he's just like knocking them out or some shit. Their actual fights, again, they're very selective in who they fight, right?
Yeah.
And so that's pretty telling, right? That they just know their skills aren't that good to actually fight like up and coming boxers who would probably knock the piss out of them. But it at least brings eyes to the sport, and I think that's the only thing that I'm trying to argue is that I don't think it's a bad thing for the sport. I don't think it's a net negative that. Because they're bringing attention to it, although the means in which they did it is. There's, I'm sure, other boxers way more deserving of this opportunity.
This might be something we might just like see it slightly differently.
Yeah,
you're right that it is bringing attention to boxing. People are now like, I think this is probably going to be a big fight. I think this is probably going to sell a lot of pay-per-view tickets.
Yeah.
Here in the U.S., in the UK, obviously people like Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury, they're from the UK.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a globally televised pay-per-view event, right?
Do you think Molly May leaves Tommy Fury if he gets knocked out by Jake Paul?
No.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, I think
she might.
Hopefully,
right then and there, she's like, "I want to what is it? I want to recouple with Jake Paul."
Oh my god! Just fucking the host walks out tonight on UK Love Island. There will be a recoupling. Oh my god!
They go to fucking Casa Amor.
After the hospital, go to Casa Amor. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
No, but like, so I think it's going to bring eyes back to boxing, which is great. The pay-per-view is going to do well. They're going to bring in numbers. I think the state of boxing, it's just, it's fucking, they need to do something here, right?
Yeah.
They need to do something where they're having similar to what UFC is doing. More fights, build better names, give guys more shots at the title. And boxing also has like 30 different weight classes.
Yeah, very confusing.
Condense the weight classes: welterweight, light welterweight.
Why is there somebody with 12 belts?
Featherweight.
Somebody's got like 18 belts.
Middleweight,
like,
waterweight. What the fuck is waterweight? Like, there's so many. There's so many weight classes. It's hard to know who the champion is because everyone has a belt. Some guys have like 4 belts. How do you have 4 belts?
It's diluting.
You got one waist.
Yeah. This is very fucking true.
So either way, I'm gonna check this fight out a little bit later on. I'm not sure what time it is, but like I think this article was talking about ways to watch, right? How to watch. Let's dive into this really quickly. It is gonna be a pay-per-view event. It looks like in the U.S. This is gonna be on ESPN Plus. I do have ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus, dude. I remember when we watched
Got it at the crib.
We watched it fight like a few weeks ago, and it doesn't mean that, like, just because you have ESPN Plus doesn't mean
you still
that
have to get the pay-per-view.
It's so fucking it's so stupid. Like,
I'm trying to see here how much the pay-per-view is going to cost on ESPN Plus. If it's not that expensive, I'll get it.
It's going to be expensive.
If it's like the last one that we ordered, it was like $85.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah,
there's no reason why this should.
We barely watched that.
Yeah,
too.
we did. That was.
That was
that was worth just hanging out and watching. I guess,
Yeah.
Which I guess is to be said for like all fights, right? Like, I can't imagine I'm gonna spend like $80 just to sit at home by myself and watch.
I don't know if I'm gonna give fucking Jake Paul that much. I'm not gonna give him my money. Because these fighters, like, I mean, obviously the networks, they cash in, but like, depending on what his contract looks like Mayweather always gets a large percentage of the pay-per-view sales.
Yeah. Well, that's because he's the draw, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, who's the draw in this fight? Is it?
It's Jake Paul.
It's Paul.
It's clearly. Like, Tommy Fury is actually getting a bump up from this. Like, I don't know how he is in fight. In fact, I hear he's fairly mediocre as a fighter. He clearly is getting more burn from this.
Yeah.
UK Love Island did something for him. This obviously is going to do something for him, but he's got to win, because if he loses this,
do you think Fury wins? I pray to God he wins.
I think he has to.
Yeah,
he has to.
Yeah, if
It's
he loses
inconceivable
to Jake Paul,
inconceivable.
Oh my God!
Because everybody's been saying they haven't fought a real fighter. They haven't fought a real fighter, and I think they're clever because they pick somebody who has some sort of brand recognition, right? So Tommy Fury has brand recognition, at least to some degree. He's not that. From what I understand, I don't know shit about boxing. From what I understand, he's just not that skilled. As
his
a fighter.
record is 8-0 with 4 KOs.
Only 8 fights. I mean, to be Tommy Fury's brother and to be able to carry that name, like, you should be able to book and sell fights. 8-0 doesn't seem like that stellar of a record.
Does that encompass? I guess his up and coming record, like, because it's like your professional fights are different from like your
amateur record versus your I don't think so. I think once a fighter goes from amateur to like professional, they then really only look at your professional record.
Yeah, this is all professional.
I don't know. I don't know why I've heard, and I couldn't tell you specifically who I even heard that from, but I remember hearing through the grapevine, because I remember like having a very vague interest in, like, oh shit, Tommy Fury. I remember him from Love Island. And then as they were talking about him, it was just like they were just like, yeah, he's okay. Like they're like, I think I was watching some boxing match or whatever, and he was like there in attendance or something like that, and you're like, yeah, he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen anyone say Tommy Fury is
a monster.
Yeah.
He's a destroyer.
Tyson Fury, but he's just, he comes from a family of boxers. Their dad was a boxer. Tyson Fury.
Tough growing up in that family. You get fucked up.
Yeah, true. if you like mess up, if you like skip school, if you
to the
school, you're gonna have to go home and put your gloves on.
Yeah, Jesus.
But anyway, this fight's happening today. I don't know exactly what time, but it's gonna be on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I think they said it's gonna be like around 10. I think our time.
Yeah.
Now, guys, let's speculate on this.
Yeah.
The billing line for this fight, it's Paul versus Fury, the truth. What the fuck does that mean?
To see if Jake Paul can actually fight, I think is maybe what they're alluding to there.
Yeah, to see if they're like, is Jake Paul like? Is he like,
An actual
the truth?
fighter?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is he or is it,
Is it true that he can fucking fight?
Yeah, and I also think like Tommy Fury also needs to prove is he just his brother's Tyson Fury's little brother?
Does
or
this count as a professional fight for him, or is this like an exhibition?
No, this is a professional fight.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
professional.
so Jake Paul is now literally a professional fighter?
Yeah.
How? Isn't there like a criteria that you have to meet? Isn't there like
Listen, with
number
boxing, it's
of-
like I think you just got to be able to bring in the money.
There's no way
we'll
this could be
create a new
professional
weight class
fight.
for
It's
you.
gotta be an exhibition.
We'll make you a belt. We'll whatever needs to be done to make you a professional. We'll do it just to get the money. Boxing is just about the money.
Yeah, it's
revenue.
considered professional, and Jake Paul has 6 professional fights.
Like, okay. Well, I guess against the people.
So they're
that-
counting
like Anderson Silva.
Anderson
at
Silva,
43
Tyron
years
Woodley.
old.
But how does that? But
twice.
how? I guess that's what my confusion is. How does that count as a professional fight if they're not professional boxers?
Yeah,
Probably
that's-
sanctioned by.
Yeah, I think all you got to do is get
sanctioned.
sanctioned by the boxing committee.
This is stupid.
Then they grant you a license, and then as long as you are granted that
I mean,
license
come on,
to become a
Tunde, it's
professional
like-
fighter, like
It's like
that's it.
soccer and like English football. Like you can be in the 4th tier, which nobody watches, but it's still professional soccer.
If you're in the D League in the NBA,
It's still
you're
professional
a
league.
professional basketball
Yeah.
player.
Yeah, you're professional.
Yeah,
See my air quotes here, but there's a reason why. There's a distinction between where you're at.
yeah. I'll give Jake Paul.
Yeah.
He is a professional fighter. He's got 6 professional fights. Tommy Fury is definitely a professional fighter. Are they like the good? You know, this is going to be like the Browns versus the fucking the Lions. You know,
Well, you can't say Lions anymore.
they've gotten better, but I still, I just want to see who wins. And I'm going in this particular fight. I'm going with Fury.
Yeah, I would have to go with Fury, but so the card will get underway at 2 p.m. Eastern local time, and I guess 10 p.m. local time here, with 8-round cruiserweight bout scheduled to start at 5 p.m. Eastern time, 1 a.m. local time. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. So 2 p.m. here, as in
Is like
America.
when the card starts, like the early prelim fights or whatever.
Yeah. So I guess
that's like in like 10
10
minutes.
We'll know soon enough.
But the Fury fight probably won't be until what, like 5,
Probably.
6 p.m.
Yeah. Okay, let's move the fuck on. So one of our favorite movies, and I'm speaking for you, and I'm doing that on purpose because I know it's to be true. One of our favorite movies of all time, Bloodsport. It's turning 35.
Damn.
35. That's fucking crazy.
Damn.
I feel old.
That came out 35 years ago?
35 years ago. Bloodsport.
2 years before I was born.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And so I was watching this thing. It was basically just Jean-Claude Van Damme talking about what it took for him to get that role. Basically, he had to beg for the role because this was like his breakout role. Before that, it was so funny. I was actually thinking about pulling this clip up and showing it. But he basically was like a background person. And you could see him in like some of these movies where he's just like a dancing as Jean-Claude Van Damme does dance.
Yeah. Wild dancer. This guy. Were you talking about? That's the scene you were going to pull up.
No, it was in another movie where he's just in the background, just dancing.
Yeah.
That's it.
not a great dancer.
I mean, it depends. I mean,
You remember when they redid Bloodsport? They made like not like I don't know if it was they remade the entire movie. It was a continuation, and then that guy, the new actor, tried to like kind of recreate
the dance
scene.
Well, that wasn't even in Bloodsport.
It was like
that
it was
in,
a post credit scene. I think it was.
That was in. Is that in Kickboxer? I think
Probably.
was because that was the movie that he actually I think was dancing in. Bloodsport. I don't think he danced at all. In Bloodsport.
It may not have been this, but like you know the scene that I'm talking about. They tried to recreate it. It was the original Jean-Claude doing it.
Unmatched.
It's cringy, but it's also like oh my god,
I
like,
love it.
Yeah, I love it. When the guy tried to redo it, it's like let's not remake this.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Stop it.
But anyways, so it turns 35, and he was talking about how he had to basically beg to get this role of Bloodsport, and it's so funny, right? Like obviously not everybody can be huge star or whatever the case is, but you just certain people that you're just like fuck. What if this person was this close to not getting a shot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What if he didn't? What if the person was like, nah, I'm not going to put you in Bloodsport?
Yeah. What if they just put Stallone in this movie?
Yeah.
Because it was around that same time,
Could
right?
you imagine Stallone trying to do splits? Like, what the fuck? What are we doing here?
It would just it would just be like, oh, this is like another. This is just Rocky, but he lost
With
his boxing
martial
license.
arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake Paul is going to be the next one. But no,
The
this movie
Zone
was a
is
fucking
sponsoring
classic,
it.
man.
Yeah,
remember like Bolo, the fight scene at the end. Bolo, he was a scary motherfucker back in 1992.
Very intense fear of Bolo.
Yeah.
And with the fact that he just never taled, and when he did, it was just like in this like weird way. I was just like, this guy's
I
terrifying.
remember watching this movie as a
What are we
kid
doing?
before you had a chest and you couldn't move your pecs. He was in the ring. The
Oh
guys
my
were beating him up and he
God.
was just moving his pecs. I'm like, yo, is that what the grown men look like?
Jesus.
Why would anyone fight this motherfucker?
Yeah, Bloodsport was terrifying to me because of him. But it's a great movie. I think I went back. I don't know if it was on Tubi. I can't claim that for certain, but it was on one of these like free streaming platforms that I remember watching Bloodsport. It's just like a random day, and I somehow randomly found this on. It might have been what is the one that starts with a P? There's one. Is
Paramount?
No.
Pluto TV.
Pluto. Yeah, it was on Pluto. That's exactly what the fuck it
Bloodsport was on Pluto, and Kickboxer is on Tubi.
Tubi. Fucking Tubi.
And Lionheart. And Fist of Fury.
Lionheart. Oh my, underrated.
Yo,
underrated.
another classic.
Fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. What's your favorite? JVD? JVC.
Fuck, I have to pull up like his
JVD.
IMDb
Not
here.
JVD. Wait, JCVD. I'm sorry.
What's my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? That's a great question.
Yeah.
I got to pull up his his shit.
For sure. While you're doing that, do you know that he was going to play the original Predator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he turned the role down because he didn't.
It looks stupid as fuck.
Also, like, it wouldn't have showed his face.
Yeah. So
I mean, I get that.
system, yeah.
Fuck. I mean, there's. All right, I got to go back here. I mean, Kickboxer. This might be my favorite. Double Impact. I don't know. This is tough. Double Impact might be my favorite.
Really? Interesting.
Time Cop for sure.
I mean, are you saying that jokingly or are you being serious?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yo, the
Time
cheese
Cop's
in
hot
that
as fuck.
movie, I love it, man.
Time Cop was great.
Time Cop was fucking dope. Yeah, it's really hard to say what my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie is. And I think it's because, unlike, I think, the Schwarzeneggers, the Stallones, his movies have like a lot of like, I feel myself sounding stupid as I say this, but I feel like a lot of variety. Like Bloodsport is dramatically different than Double Impact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he clearly still whoops people's ass in it, but like they're just like two very different movies, like with different different storytelling. I guess
Different storylines. Yeah. Different like the films. Same guy. You know.
Yeah.
The action is still there.
Yeah.
But you're right in that like the storytelling is the Universal Soldier too.
Yo,
Well, I'm gonna tell you
Love
one
Universal
that
Soldier.
is highly underrated.
What?
You ready? Death Warrant.
Death Warrant. Do I? I don't know. If I
Oh
remember that
my
one.
God!
Yes.
I gotta look it up.
Do you not
100%.
remember Death? Did you not see Death Warrant?
I feel like was this the one where he came from Russia and then he was in
No,
Brooklyn?
he's in jail. That was you're talking about.
Oh, that was
Lionheart.
with Sandman, right? Where
Oh
yeah,
my
fuck
God!
yeah. I'm still gonna. I still have to go.
Street
with
Fighter.
Double Impact.
It's like
Street Fighter. Street Fighter was good. Street Fighter was. Come on now. I mean, for the time it was made.
Get the entire fuck out of my
If you're
face.
gonna make a Street Fighter movie,
I will not accept this argument.
If you're ever gonna make a Street Fighter movie, and granted this was like the early '90s,
You're saying
I think they did a
absurd things.
serviceable job in 1993 or whenever that movie came out.
Addy, please tell
for Street Fighter.
Orain he's insane for even seeing
I
this.
can't.
What
I can't
Come
go
on
with
Street
that one.
Fighter?
It was.
I can't go
Did you
with
see
that one.
Blanca in that movie? Oh my God!
I will tell you this though, man. Like at that time, he couldn't miss. As far as the box office is concerned,
Not
forget
even
like
that movie brought him down.
look, Cyborg. You remember Cyborg?
Cyborg was awesome.
Budget less than $500,000. Like they didn't even count at some point. Like they're like, this is so low, we're just not even gonna count it. Still made $10 million at the box office. Like that's
Yeah.
insane.
That's not bad.
Yeah, he couldn't
That's
miss.
insane.
Dude.
He's a-
Yeah,
he was a
he had
bad
Can't
black.
a
miss in the
10-year
late
window.
80s and 90s now. Can't
Yeah,
miss.
I think things started to fall apart for me at Double Team when he did Double Team with Dennis Rodman. And honestly, it's not even actually like that bad of a movie, but that's when it kind of was like, yeah, the jig's pretty much up here. Because after that, I can't tell you one movie that I cared for after that.
Yeah, I just want to know for Double Team.
Yeah.
Where did $30 million of that budget go? Like literally, where did it actually go?
Into their pockets. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Into who? Rodman's pocket?
Probably, yeah. Rodman, Van
insane.
Damme, yeah.
That is insane.
I think
With
Mickey
that,
Rourke was in
lime
there too.
green hair or whatever.
Hey, Rodman was
Cost
hot.
money, right?
You joke, but Rodman at that moment in time, he was
Yeah,
hot as
I
fire.
get it.
Because Dennis Rodman.
Oh yeah.
Because not only was obviously in the middle of like the fucking Bulls run there. But also you forget he was doing the WCW stuff where he was running down the aisle with fucking Hulk Hogan and shit and fighting Karl Malone, in WCW. And so and dating Madonna, I think at that time or some crazy shit like that. So Rodman was on fire at that moment in time.
Pamela Anderson. Wasn't he dating Pamela Anderson too?
I thought it was Madonna, but I could be wrong.
Might have been both.
Wasn't that
Probably,
Carmen
yeah.
Electra?
Carmen
All of
Electra,
them.
yeah.
I think he
married
bagged
her
all
for
of them.
like a week.
He bagged all of them. Rodman, you talk about somebody who couldn't miss. Rodman couldn't miss at that moment in time. Anyways, and then also too, he had like a little cameo in Last Action Hero. I'm talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme here. I don't know what my favorite movie of it. I think that's a hard fucking question. I think the movie that I probably go back and watch the most is probably Bloodsport.
Yeah, I've seen this movie maybe like 30 times. So I pulled up an article here. It just gives you like some quick fun facts about this movie.
Yeah.
So one of the things, it obviously follows,
David
it's a
Duke.
story about the real life fighter, Frank Duke.
Or Frank Duke. Yeah.
But the story
David
itself
Duke.
was
That's another
mostly
guy.
like
All the
untrue. Yes.
It's super racist.
So it's not like an entire like one for one biography of his life. There is a lot of like the story that's like mostly fabricated for TV.
This is what I understand.
So that's interesting to learn years later, but like it
Which
doesn't
blew
take
me
away.
away.
It doesn't take away from the film for me. It's still a fucking great movie.
Watching it as a kid and then seeing that end scene where he like gives the little bow and then it comes up with the Frank Duke never lost a fight or whatever the fuck it said. I was like, oh my, this guy's a legend.
Yeah.
To grow up and then be like, yeah, none of that shit's true. It's just
He
like,
doesn't
God
get
damn,
enough credit, this guy Frank Duke. And even if some of it's
I guess he
fabricated,
got too much credit. Is the
probably.
situation here.
Even if this got like, even though there was a bit of fabrication here, still a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Another thing here, so you're right. Like he literally like talked himself into this role. He pretty much begged for this movie. He only made $25,000 for this movie.
Well, fucking worth it.
Yeah. Now, granted, $25,000 in 1991
not a bad come up.
might not be bad for a movie. I don't know, but like it's compared to like today's money. You know what I mean? Like that's nothing. This movie inspired what we saw in Mortal Kombat a few years later, which is very interesting. The movie. So like after Bloodsport, like they kind of used that blueprint to create
That
Mortal
actually checks
Kombat.
out.
Yeah,
Explicitly, yeah.
and then last fun fact, and then we can move on to something else here. So this movie didn't use a single stuntman. Everyone in the movie really did their own shit.
Yo.
So there were no stuntmen in the movie. There were real martial artists, like
Yeah.
jujitsu guys and Muay Thai guys, but none of them were like professional stuntmen. They were all just
Yeah.
professional fighters or actors, which is insane.
Showing up to like, could you imagine being the one person who wasn't a professional fighter who like just showed up to auditions like, guys,
I'm just an actor.
Where's it?
Like,
Where's
no,
the stunt?
these motherfuckers
where's
are
the
the
stunt
real
people?
thing. Yeah.
And they're like, bitch,
All
you
right,
better
you
get the fuck
gotta
out of here.
fight Tung Po. Like, all right,
What?
Where did you go to Juilliard acting school too? Like, no, I fought motherfuckers in the street, in real life. And the director's like,
Shit is
action. What?
Water break, guys. Water break.
You're like, time out. Like, nope, keep rolling. They're just filming you getting fucked up. And you really got fucked up too.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Yeah, so anyways, so Bloodsport turns 35. Fucking amazing movie. Even after all these years. Now I will say it is interesting. The reason why it's very believable now that this, the movie was like super fabricated is because it's like, okay, a white dude going into, an Asian country and just whooping everybody's ass. Come on, guys. Like, why? Why is this always the case? And some white dude just strolls in and just starts fucking people up and is like, he's the best out of everything.
And everyone turns on their own community like, no, fuck our culture. this guy.
Now, super quick before we move on. Do you remember this dude from American Ninja? His name was fucking... God damn it. I should have pulled
The
this up
movie
before.
American Ninja?
Yeah.
The guy, was he the same guy who was in like the Ninja Turtles movie?
No. Ninja Turtles. No. Fuck. What was this dude's name? I see the movie. Oh, Michael Dudikoff.
No, I do not.
You don't remember
this
that?
guy.
Okay, but he basically was like Jean-Claude Van Damme before Jean-Claude Van Damme, which
Okay.
is amazing.
So I just like Googled him here. Yeah, he's just not as good looking. That's it. That's the only thing.
You think so? It's because he's not as handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's a
He was,
handsome
I mean, he's a good looking
motherfucker.
guy. This
Handsome
guy's
dude.
not as good looking. One's more bankable. Like they both like it's all right, you know.
But at the time that Jean-Claude Van Damme was trying to get Bloodsport, he was actually literally told, "Hey, you're not going to be as big of a star as this guy." So it's just so funny.
did more sit-ups and said, "I'll show you." Zoom in on this fucking bicep.
He went into
That's all they had to do.
The time chamber. Anyways,
Yeah,
I
these
just thought that was
motherfuckers were
interesting.
jacked back in the day. Schwarzenegger,
Yeah, because they were
Stallone,
fucking
Van
juicy.
Damme.
What do you mean?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Let them juice.
I've never understood why that's like frowned upon. Like I understand just like steroids period is like, okay, might fuck you up. But
Yeah.
if they're just doing it because they're like, yeah, this is my living, this is like what I want to do, and you're doing it consciously, yada yada.
Yeah, if they're not
They're
hurting
not
anybody, you're
competing
just
with
doing,
anybody. Like, what's the problem here?
Yeah. Now, granted, don't let kids juice.
and,
you know?
and well, and also
I don't want high school players juicing.
No.
But
like
like,
actual,
let
like, wrestlers.
let cyclists juice.
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
see- I don't
No,
know why
why?
people hate Lance Armstrong.
no,
It's a
they're
competition
competing.
within the competition.
Yeah,
It's-
but not everybody's juicing.
You've got they all got to juice.
No,
Everyone's got to juice.
Incorrect. The thing that I see
If you
is-
choose not to juice, then that's your choice. But you know, now we got the best cyclists and we got the best juice. It's two competitions.
And we got the
I get to
best
see
juice.
two sports. Who's got the best cyclist?
Yeah.
Who's got the best bike?
Yeah.
Who's got the best juice?
yeah.
Now I'll watch.
The only sport that I'll say, which the only sport that I'll say that kind of makes sense is wrestling. I've never understood why it's barred in professional like wrestling, like WWE stuff. This is
Yeah.
like you're not actually like competing. Now, obviously, I guess maybe if you look at it like so, for instance, and I think there's a lot more going on there than just steroids. But like if you look at like Chris Benoit and you fucking just like, and there's like a lot of people who just have like post steroid abuse like shit
Yeah.
going on. I guess maybe that's the reason why not to do it. But from a practicality standpoint, I've never understood like why like, oh my, ban it in WWE. Like what, this is
Yeah,
all scripted.
I don't want to see Randy Savage, Macho Man Randy Savage, not on the juice.
That dude.
I want the, ooh yeah, I'm gonna snap you like a twig, Hulk Hogan.
I think-
like I want that Randy Savage. I don't want the. It's gonna be a good
Oh,
fight.
yeah. Hey, let's be cordial
Let's go
here.
out there and
Yeah.
compete. I don't want that Randy Savage. Juice him up, send him out there. I want
like right
good
before he
television.
goes out. Like
Right.
what use is it if,
In the tunnel,
like-
you see them juicing on live television. They're fucking zooming in while they're mixing it up.
It's a funny side note. Randy Savage, actually, as I go back and like watch like this like old school wrestling, he might be my favorite wrestler of all time. He was amazing.
I love Randy Savage.
Just his
My
energy.
favorite, I think my favorite of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then Randy Savage, then Goldberg, then Sting, then Kane.
Nah, Goldberg's boring. Sting was awesome, but I think Randy Savage. There's just nobody who like watching like his interviews from like the
fucking
80s.
best.
Like he would just say the most randomest shit and just his mannerisms or he's he just brought such an
Showmanship.
original.
It was showmanship, but it was also like he just had a style and an attitude to him. He
So
was a showman.
distinct from
But he
everybody
was a really
else.
good
Yeah.
wrestler too.
He was a fucking great one of the best matches of all time was him and Ricky Steamboat from I think WrestleMania 3 for the Intercontinental title. And that's why like when people are like, oh, Hulk Hogan, I'm like, fuck Hogan, right? Like
Yeah, fuck Hogan. I don't like Hulk
Yeah. Randy Savage to me was always like, and I feel like I didn't appreciate it like at the time. I just was like, yeah, whatever, Randy Savage. Oh yeah, like he
those
just he
Slim
does
Jim
his,
commercials?
Yeah, Slim Slim
Fucking
Jim.
incredible.
Yeah, legendary. All right, let's move on here. We just this is past week we watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Let's just talk about it. What'd you think?
So I think this movie. So last week before we saw the movie, we talked about that article that came out where it's basically like the fans loved it, the critics are like shitting on the movie basically. We finally went to see it, and I think we were right. The critics don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like this was a great movie. I'm not gonna say it was anywhere near the best Marvel movies,
Pause.
but like great
Movie. Let's slow down. Let's slow down.
I had a great sandwich the other day. We're using that word lightly, okay? So I mean, great in terms of like it delivered. It more than delivered on what I expected. Right? It's a Marvel movie. It's Ant-Man 3. He's it's Kang. They're going to the fucking quantum. Like I expected a big movie.
Yeah.
It was better than I thought. One, it was funny as fuck at times. The action was there. The stylistically, it was like stunning and beautiful to watch. I think the acting, like there were just so many people, so many things that I didn't anticipate being in this movie that like I got and I really enjoyed. What I liked the most about this movie is, again, one, it over delivered on my initial expectations, which that's always pleasant, right? Yeah. It gave you a lot. It gave you a bit of a sneak peek into what we're gonna continue to receive or see as we. As this like Kang Dynasty story is told. Yeah. So I enjoyed that. In terms of kicking off, what is this, phase 4 or phase 5 of the MCU? I think this was a great kickoff to phase 4. I look back at like some of the other movies that have kicked off like the next phase in Marvel. I can't think back to any one that, at least for me personally, that hit as high as Ant-Man 3 and Quantumania did. Like this, I'm really excited for the next phase of the MCU because of what this movie did.
Interesting.
Drink the ooze. Would you drink it?
No. Well, I guess you would have to because you have to understand what the fuck's going on. But yeah, I don't think for me this movie was a pretty mid movie. From the standpoint of, and I think that there's a lot under the surface there that we're not hip to.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see the movie again to like really like pick up on certain.
I'm probably not gonna watch the movie again. But
what?
Yeah.
Not at home on the couch.
Nah. I went the other night. I went back and watched Infinity War and Endgame.
Both in a single night.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a long night.
It's fucking 12 hours of TV. Just nonstop. Didn't even peed in a cup.
No. So
eating Slim Jims and shit.
So I had some work to do early in the day, and then I just like.
You watched it like throughout an entire day.
Yeah, sort of. No, I went to the gym, and then I had a few meetings. And then after the meetings, I was just tired as fuck. So I just laid in bed.
You watched 8 hours of fucking.
I just threw it on, and so I would come in and out of sleep. You know.
Okay,
you know.
So it was like one of those like kind of like I'm halfway sleeping, halfway paying attention. Okay, got it. Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah. So like I go back and watch those. I'm not gonna go back and watch Quantumania. For what? Why? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I like to watch Marvel movies at least twice just to pick up on anything I missed, right? Like a character that I was introduced or something that like was a direct pull from the comic books that like, hey, this is not a big storyline, but like here is a thing that, and I also want to see like, because Marvel does a great job at like reintroducing characters in like movies down the line, right? So I want to be able to recognize and remember all of these like little characters that we're seeing that may be pulled into an upcoming Marvel movie down the road.
Yeah, I think it's too hard of a task for me. I'm not investing that much, at least anymore. I'm not investing that much into Marvel.
This guy's went back and watched 400 episodes of like 80s WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But Ant-Man.
Yeah, I draw the line.
That's where you draw the line.
If Randy Savage or fucking whoever the fuck bumfuck character from Ant-Man and the Wasp. No, I'm good. But I will say this: it was a very mid movie for me. But it clearly was not as bad as the critics said it was. Like clearly, like it was a competent enough movie. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, too much CGI and whatever, blah blah blah. No, it was fine. It was a fine Marvel movie. Like to me it wasn't particularly great or anything like that, but like it wasn't for any other Marvel movie that might come out. I liked it better than like Doctor Strange, for instance, right? In the Multiverse of Madness. I liked it better than what's it called? Black Widow. But to be fair, I don't think anybody cared for Black Widow.
Yeah, I like this movie better than Black Widow.
Yeah.
It was better than Iron Man 3. It was better than like, what is that? The Marvel movie, Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
It was better than that. It was better than fucking, if we're going to bring in shows, well, or are we going to just stick to the movies? It was it wasn't it's not at the top of my list by any means, but it's definitely not at the bottom. It's like sits nicely in the middle.
You know what? I lied. I think this is are we in phase 5? No. Are we?
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
I think we're in phase 5. because I think Endgame was the end of phase 3.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with these phases. I'll be honest. I don't know what phase we're in. And
Well,
you know who's fucking it up? You know, Vin Diesel. I blame Vin because we got to keep up with all these Fast and Furious movies. We don't know what fucking they're like. Yo, is this movie 10, 11, 12, 15, 35? You can't keep track of other shit because of how many fucking Fast and Furious movies they're making.
Yeah. Now I will challenge you on this. I don't think that this was the best start to an MCU phase. And here's why I say this.
Do you have like the list pulled up?
I do. Okay. So let's go back through the phases. Phase 1 starts off with the Iron Man. I don't know. That was kind of hot.
Yeah.
That might have been the best start to a phase. Phase 2 started with Iron Man 3. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I'll give you that one.
Nope. That's where you lose me.
Phase 3, though.
I don't want to watch a depressed Tony Stark.
Phase 3. Well, he wasn't really that depressed. He still made plenty of jokes. Phase 3, Civil War. Whoa, you can't. Come on. Come on. Are you actually trying to say that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania compared
not
in any way?
Civil War had everybody in it.
And it was just a great
so
movie.
Much bigger. Yeah,
it was a great movie.
Okay, it wasn't.
Great movie.
Okay, so it beats Iron Man 3 for sure.
I to me, I think it's on par.
No.
I think they're on par with each other. Okay, all right,
Treat
fair
yourself
enough.
better.
Hey,
No, come on. You're lying to yourself.
And then I think WandaVision kicked off phase 4.
Okay.
If
WandaVision was a show, I didn't like WandaVision at all. So I'll still. I know we're comparing a show.
I think
versus a movie
I
here.
liked WandaVision more than this.
No.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. That difference
it
of
was
opinion.
a tough watch. WandaVision.
Difference of opinion, but yeah, phase 5. Anyways, I think the critics are too they're smelling their own shit here a little bit, like in terms of just like.
Wait, what was that analogy? I'm sorry, we're not going to skip past that. They're smelling their own shit.
Yeah, you've never heard that phrase before?
No, that's a phrase. That's a first. Like they're not doing like a courtesy flush in the beginning.
Like they're too like
very important social thing too. You got a courtesy flush.
Do you?
Unless you're just gonna sit and like
Yeah.
in the bathroom and just like literally just smell your own shit. You just breathing it in.
That was
Sick
so
son of a
gross.
bitch.
Yeah. I don't know why that made it so gross when you did that just now.
I wonder if there are people who like, everyone has like, people with fetishes, foot fetish, hand fetish, these types of fetish. There are people who, what is it called?
No, you told me.
There's when you like
That's the question.
people who like being shit on. Remember the 2 Girls 1 Cup?
I don't.
That kind of thing.
Is that has like a word?
Yeah, there's a name
Yes.
for everything in America. What's it called?
It is coprophilia.
Coprophilia. Yeah. People who like shit. So I imagine there are people who like will go to the bathroom and just be in there like, this smells amazing. Like those sick motherfuckers. Those people should have to register just like pedophiles. I want to know who you are. Nasty motherfucker.
How the fuck did we get here?
Yeah, right. I don't know. Listen, sometimes we go down a dark rabbit
Ant-Man
hole.
and the Wasp.
There's a movie about it on Tubi.
I'm sure there is a documentary on Netflix. All I'm trying to say is that this movie was not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. So I think the critics were smelling their own shit in that it's more about let's just like, even from a technical standpoint, like I did have some technical issues with the movie. Like, so for instance, for me, the movie there's really no change in the movie, from one character to the other. Like there's no, basically they start the movie in a certain way. They basically end the movie in a certain way. Now, what I'm thinking we might be missing is that might have been purposeful. That I think that it's alluding to something coming, like other things coming up that we just aren't privy to right now. But yeah, for me, it wasn't a great movie, but at the same time, clearly was not worth, I think 30 some odd percent or something like that it got on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, definitely not that
better
low.
than that.
If I were to
clearly
give this movie a rating, I would give it like a 72%.
I think that's healthy. I probably start dipping into the 60s a little bit. Probably, yeah. Low 70s, high 60s, I think. Somewhere
That's fair.
there.
Yeah,
somewhere
that's fair.
around there. Yeah.
It's not in the 90s. It's not in the 80s.
No.
I'm not going to fucking lie to anybody. I don't even think it's above 75.
Yeah.
Like, I think 72, 73 that's where I feel
would
comfortable.
need
But
to
like
live.
if somebody's like, hey, for me it was a 65, I'm like, I get
That's
that
fine.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a 30 some odd percent, that feels a bit stupid.
This is a podcast about math and percentages.
Yeah. Where we barely know anything about it.
We're just throwing percentages out there.
Throwing it out
If
there.
someone just
point
tuned in, they're
out-
like, yo, what percentage are these guys talking about?
I don't know.
I want to point out that on Tubi, 120 Days of Sodoma is available to watch.
There is a movie
from
about it?
1975 where people sit at the dinner table and eat feces.
Yeah, I fucking knew it.
Also, your browsing history you may want to like delete after this. After looking for some
You
weird
fuck
stuff.
my shit up.
Everything.
Jesus Christ. The shit is going to pop up on fucking
At
Instagram
the
now.
worst time. You're going to be sharing your screen on a meeting. And you're like, all right, guys, so I'm going to hit share. And then you're going to go to Google something
Yo,
and it's going to be like,
have you ever been to one
movies about shit?
Have you ever been to one of those sites where it just does like the pop-ups of just like porn or something like that, and you're just, what do you stop? What's
listen,
happening here?
I'm gonna tell a quick, very
Yeah.
embarrassing story. I remember,
Yeah.
so this is like my sophomore year in college, right?
Yeah.
I'm down in like the lobby area where all the kids are like got their laptops out and we're all like studying and shit, right? And then like, so I asked this girl, I'm like, hey, listen, like, what is the
I love where this
I think
story's
she had a website that she was using as a reference for like a research report we're doing. So I'm like, hey, like, what's the website? I can't find it. So she's like, oh, I'll just come over and do it for you. So
Oh, no.
I open up I open up my browser, right? And she goes to start to type in the fucking URL.
Oh, no.
And for some reason it just brought up like my whole search history.
Yeah.
Right. And then
No, that's what it is. It's preemptively
Yeah.
trying to fill it in for you. Yeah.
and it just like all you saw was just porn.
Oh, my
Just a shit ton of porn.
God.
And I'm like, and I see it. I know she sees it. We both see it. Now, I appreciate her resolve, and like she didn't, fucking
She
stop
didn't
and be
flinch?
like, she was like, "Yo, why are you watching
you
Big
address it?
Booties Bounce Volume 5?" She didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
shoulda.
She just kept typing.
No, that's
Now,
when
mind
it's
you-
awkward. That's when it's awkward.
Yeah. So now, mind you, this girl, this Asian girl in my class, she was fucking gorgeous. I
Yeah.
mean, like I was trying so hard to bag this joint.
Yeah, but then she saw the browsing history. She's
Yeah.
like, you like big booty bounces. That's not.
Hot Asian girls sucking.
You got a fetish, yeah.
I'm like, hey, but I like Asian girls.
Oh my
maybe we have a
God.
thing here.
Nah.
And she was like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, here's the fucking URL.
Pass. Yeah.
Spun my like, slid, she didn't spin it. She like slid it back over to me. And then end of semester, never see her again. She probably changed major.
Yeah,
these
I'm getting
guys
out of
in the
here.
business
She changed schools.
All they do is watch porn. We're put in for a transfer.
Yeah, she started at Maryland. She was like, you know what, fuck this shit.
Yeah, she's like, I'm
it's a
outta
better
here.
school. Okay, so I think that's our summation of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I think the bottom line there is fuck critics. And I don't think we consider ourselves critics. We talk about movies, but we're just talking about them in terms of what we
watch
thought.
everything whether we like it or not. Like my goal is like my stance generally is to watch everything and decide for yourself.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to be one of these people who's like, well, I thought it was a terrible film because of these bullshit reasons while on the toilet smelling my own shit. As I write this article.
No courtesy flush. All right, let's move to some trailers here. Past Lives is going to be our first trailer here. So this is about a story about Nora and Hai Sung. Two deeply connected childhood friends are, I think is what they're supposed to be, wrestled apart after Nora's family immigrates from South Korea. 20 years later, they are reunited for one fateful week as they confront notions of love and destiny. This is directed and written by Celine Song and starring Greta Lee, Tae-yo, John Magaro, Moon Sung Ah, and is due out for release May 19th of this year. Let's check out Past Lives.
There's a word in Korean, 인연. It means providence or fate.
Do you believe in that?
That's just something Koreans say to seduce someone.
What a good story this is.
childhood sweethearts who reconnect 20 years later and realize they were meant for each other. In the story, I would be the evil white American husband standing in the way of destiny.
Shut up. He was just this kid in my head for such a long time. I think I just missed him.
Did he miss you?
혜성! 와, 너다.
와,
와,
진짜 와다. 와.
와.
Not really sure how to feel about it, son. And the way you move makes me feel like I can't
좋다.
live without you.
뭐가?
그냥
Away. I want
너랑
you to
얘기하는 거?
stay.
The guy flew 13 hours to be here. I'm not going to tell you that you can't see him or something.
만약에 네가 한국을 떠나지 않았다면 내가 널 찾았을까? 우리가 사귀었을까? 헤어졌을까? 부부가 됐을까? 아이들을 가졌을까?
너는 나를 왜 찾았어?
한 번 더 보고 싶었어.
If two strangers walk by each other in the street and their clothes accidentally brush, that means there have been 8,000 layers of inyan between them.
Want you to stay. Want you to stay.
Fucking A24. Can't miss.
They did it again.
Except for I did see a Swiss Army Man recently.
You didn't like
Fucking
it?
hated that movie. That movie sucked.
Interesting.
Movie
I thought
sucked.
it was. I loved it.
It was different.
I thought it was a really good movie.
I watched like 45 minutes of it and I was like, yo, we
Oh,
gotta turn
no, you
this
should have
shit
finished
off.
it. You should have finished it.
Dude, it was a tough watch. But I still give A24, credit for always picking these films or distributing these films that are just like very like thoughtful and like very just like interesting, and like they have a way of producing and or distributing films that are just like very unique in like texture and feel, and like they just feel very thoughtful. Like this looks like a great movie.
Yeah. And I think it touches on, at least to me, like an interesting topic of, when we have these lives that we have carved out for ourselves, but then when we're reintroduced to something that brings back like a bit of like nostalgia or whatever, like, we have these like different pools, right, of our feelings for when we are like kids and through childhood, adolescence, which can be so fucking strong, right? Like I have like a lot of intense feelings from things, from people and situations from when I was younger, that if those same events like took place like 20 years like later, like as an adult, is like, this didn't really mean that much. Like, it's not really that serious, you know? But as a kid, it feels so intense, and it still feels pretty intense like as an adult. And so I think that's what this sort of, is relating to, that idea of the pull from I've lived a life and I'm encompassed in that life, but here's this thing from the past that's like pulling me back to something that I like remember and I'm fond of and feels good, or whatever the case is.
And it's someone like you there may be someone that you used to like love years ago,
Yeah.
and they moved away. They went to a different school. You guys graduated high school. You went to different universities and just had different lives. And then it's like, part of you always wonders like, whatever happened to that person?
Yeah.
Or maybe not even in like a romantic, like I want to be with them. Like fuck my partner that I'm with now. I really want to be with that person.
Yeah.
But it's like we had like a unique experience in our lives, and here we are again 10, 20 years later. Like, what happened with you? Like, what happened in your life? And there may be still something there, but like, do you pursue that thing and give up on the life that you built? Or do you just say, hey, you know what? Like, it was nice to see you again.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're doing well. I've thought of you all these years, but we have lives now.
Yeah.
I think the question, the husband asked in this film is like, this person flew 13 hours. Like, do you let your significant other like go on this date? Do you let them go? It is tough, right? It depends on like the strength of your relationship. It depends on I mean, it depends on so many things, like your confidence in your other person, right?
Yeah.
But a part of you is like, yo, like I don't want to let you go because I'm afraid that if I let you go, you'll fall in love with this other person. And the other part of you is like, if I don't let you go, it's always gonna be in the back of my mind. It's always gonna be in the back of your mind, right? And then like, is that going to like destroy our relationship in some way?
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of couples going to see this movie, like everyone's going to be asking themselves that question, like, would I let you go? Would you let me go?
Watch this movie separately. Different times.
But no, this film looks beautiful. I'm definitely going to see this.
Yeah. It looks really interesting. It's due out May 19th of this year. And I'm sure it's going to make a theatrical run. I'm looking for the next Everything Everywhere All at Once movie.
That film that I'm just like, oh my God, I love
this. Is it. Yeah.
A24 can't have this much power, and we got to stop these motherfuckers.
They're the Thanos of production companies.
As much as I love them, like
they got it all.
They're hitting too many times. You can't be that good. You can't have 100% batting average. Spring training,
even as you said, they have movies that kind of is like, man, I don't know about this one. For me, that was not Swiss Army Man. I thought I would hate Swiss Army Man, but after finishing the movie, and I think I agree, like I feel like it's one of those movies where you gotta like just stick with it, and I think the payoff is great, but
maybe I finished too soon. That's what my girlfriend always tells me. I'll give it.
Sounds like a personal problem.
I'll give it another try. Like I think I got like 45 minutes into the movie, and I was just like, oh, I can't. I gotta stop. Or maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind.
Were you high when you watched it?
No, I think I was just like, we were drinking like White Claws or something like that.
Good. Yeah. This is not the movie to be high because you will be very confused, and I don't know if that's a pleasurable experience watching this very weird movie.
I'll give it another try.
So we've got another trailer coming up. Sisu, I believe it's pronounced. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. Who knows? As if there's not a definitive answer to this question that I've asked. Clearly, there's a way to say this. But this is about when ex-soldier who discovers gold in the Lapland wilderness tries to take the loot into the city. Nazi soldiers led by a brutal SS officer battle him. This is directed and written by Jalmari Helander and stars Jorma Tomilia, Akizel Henny, Jack Dolan, Mimosa Willamo, and is due out April 28th of this year. With that being said, let's check this out.
Get down on your knees. Fuck him up! We got gold!
He was a Finnish commando. He lost his home and his family in the war. He became a one-man death squad. He's one mean motherfucker that you do not want to mess with.
You'll see what happens when you take everything from him.
Do you really believe that he's immortal?
No, he just refuses to die.
How many minds did we bury here? All of them. You and you.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
This is not about who's the strongest. This is about not giving up. We have a word for that in Finland.
Can you take out an entire fucking plane?
We might have a problem.
Fuck that other movie. This shit looks great. Oh my god! Like, when does this movie come out? Does it come out today?
This is April 28th.
This year's off to a good start. We got Cocaine Bear. We've got Sisu. Oh my god!
That was a lot of gore. There was a lot going on there.
That should have been. This should have been like Captain America in the first Avengers, because he did have the shield, and this is like 1954 when Cap was born.
Yeah, this was the original screenplay for Captain
and Marvel
America.
was like, I don't know if we can start here.
Disney owns us. I don't know if we can go this route.
But this movie, it is just a bunch of carnage, and it just looks like just a one-man fucking army. Again, it said it right at the beginning, from the same studio that produced John Wick. So we kind of, maybe we can guess what we're going to get here. But that should look great.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a movie for me necessarily, because I think as I've gotten older, I feel like I long for the days of the Bloodsport days, right? But I feel like as we've progressed here, we've just had to up the ante every movie, of the violence and fucking mayhem and yada yada. I don't know if I have a taste for it anymore. I think I'm good.
Listen, I like a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? I like spicy foods. I like candy sometimes. Let's go get some sushi, but let's get a burger too. So this is, that other movie was just very thoughtful and pleasant, and like it just looked beautiful. And this is just fucking violent and gory. I'll take both of them. I watched them both in one night.
That's a weird night. Yeah,
it's very weird.
Very
night.
Extremes. Yeah,
that's what weed is for.
Yeah. But yeah, this is due out, like I said, April 28th of this year. Sisu. Am I pronouncing it? Addie, maybe you have a beat on if I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes, you are pronouncing
She
it
did
correctly.
say it in the trailer.
I think it translates to go.
To go.
Yeah, the original title of this movie. I know a little bit about this. It was Immortal. They referenced it in that it's not based on a true story. There was no such character.
If it were,
or anything like
Jesus Christ.
The Lapland Wars, probably. Yeah, like the Lapland Wars, they were legit. It's just there's no historical basis behind this guy. But hey, let's go.
Assume,
let's kill some people. I like it.
This guy stabbed a plane with a knife.
Yeah, he was riding on a fucking moped
with his dog too. That dog.
This really did come from John Wick. Yeah, the
Holy
creators
shit.
of John Wick. All right, let's shift gears here to James Bond. I came across this article from The Independent. James Bond books rewritten to remove offensive references. We had some definitive thoughts about this before we even started the podcast. We started to have a conversation about this. Let me read a little bit from the article here, and I guess to add a little bit more spice to it. So this comes a little bit after there was some editing to Roald? How do you pronounce this? Roald. I know his last name is Dahl. Do you remember his books?
Nay.
Oh, fuck. I gotta come up with the name of this. I should look these things up before I actually
do it live.
It's pronounced Rual.
Dahl. Yeah. Rual. I'm not gonna get this.
No. It's like the word rural. You can never say it right. I live in rural Pennsylvania. Why?
Well, it's rude. Why? And if you have to smack the person, right? Like if somebody answers you that way, you say this is where I live. You say why? you have to slap them.
There are sometimes when people live certain places. I'm like, why do you live here?
Yeah,
live in Antarctica, out in the fucking sticks where it's just cold and miserable.
I mean, why does anybody live anywhere?
I get why people live in certain places. It's warm, it's beautiful, you're closer to people. whatever.
I think the people I found weird are the people who choose to live in certain places, right? Like, so if you're born in a place, it's like, yeah, this is what the fuck I know, right? But if you're choosing to go to a place that's like fucking Alaska or something, it's like, well, why? Like, what's there?
I was born in New York, but now I live in rural Oklahoma.
Yeah,
it's like, holy shit.
I don't know, a lot of money, but also different tastes, different people, right?
Sure.
Like, so I feel like us city folk, we sniff our shit too much, you know, in terms of trying to. Not thinking that there's anything outside. Like, why would anybody even decide to live in the country? But it's like this country people are like, well, why the fuck would anybody decide to live in the cities? Too many people. There's fucking pollution, air pollution.
Yeah.
Actually, they probably don't give a fuck.
I'd rather get like, you know, run up on by like a junkie than like be outside and fucking wolf is just staring me down like, yo, you or me. And I'm
just
like,
get Liam Neeson, you know, he'll help you out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyways, so racial references have been removed from Ian Fleming's James Bond novels following a sensitivity review. Terms such as the N-word, which featured in his writing from the 1950s and 1960s, has been edited out of new editions of the 007 book set for reissue in April. Now, let's just pause to live in amazement at the fact that they're still printing these. Why? I think is the question there.
Yeah, wait, so are they printing like new books?
New editions
like
of the
new
007
editions?
book sets.
So like the old original shit, but just new editions.
Yes.
The fuck?
Why? Yeah.
It's a lot of
Who's
paper
reading
we're
this?
wasting.
Yeah.
It's like whenever someone's like, "Oh, I've got I bought a brand new Bible." Like, why?
Yeah,
You know, aren't there
so many
aren't there old ones?
Yeah.
Like, is that what God would have wanted? More paper to be wasted? I feel like that's a contradiction.
I'm not sure if it is, but fair enough. I'll follow your logic
Got a
there.
new Bible, 2023 Bible. I wonder if in churches that's like a thing.
Like the new editions?
Yeah.
New editions or
just like I got a
new
brand
copies.
new Bible. Like, ooh, Brother Johnson over there got the new Bible.
Oh, look at it's like Patrick Bateman from or is that his name from American Psycho, where he's talking about the card. And he's
I've
like,
never seen
look
American
at the rays
Psycho,
that
I'm
just
not gonna lie. But I feel like I've
weird
seen the
movie.
clip that you're getting where he's like,
oh, look at the
how
bevel
how
or
it's printed on the
whatever.
paper, right?
Yeah. He fucking he's like so distraught over it. Like somebody, like one of his coworkers, like he thinks his card is hot, and then like somebody has another. He's like, oh my
it's like the embossed.
his face
print and how it's
changes.
lifted.
Yeah. It's a hilarious scene. So some depictions of black people have also been reworked or removed from, but references to other ethnicities, such as the term for East Asian people and Bond's mocking views of Oddjob, Goldfinger's Korean henchmen remain. The Telegraph reports. So
I'll give some thoughts here. I get it, but I also feel like it's in a way rewriting history, right?
I mean, literally, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and here's a excerpt from this article. It says, disclaimer accompanying the new edition is expected to read, this book was written at a time when terms and attitudes which might be considered offensive by modern readers were commonplace. So meaning like if this book was written in like 1920, the language, the social awareness was not there, right? So they said shit like it references removing terms or phrases like a sweet tang of rape and blithering women and doing a man's work, and references to homosexuality being a stubborn disability. So those things have been kept in the book, and there are like more offensive things that have been removed from the books, right? I feel like removing it allows, when history is told about who this artist was, Ian Fleming? Who was it?
Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming. Mm-hmm. It will remove the historical record of him being, either like a racist or sexist or homophobic, right? Only so that his books and these Bond stories can continue to live on without like the stain of, how he felt and what he wrote at that time.
Yeah, like at that time, like he meant to write that. Like it wasn't like that was like, oh shit, I didn't know that was in there. It was like, no, he like literally like that's part of the fucking story, right? Like it's not as if it's like, oh, oopsie, I don't know how that accidentally got in there. It was a misprint, right?
Yeah,
it's
like let's
no,
not edit Hitler's
story.
Mein Kampf or whatever it was called, like, and try and make like it's a good book. We're just gonna remove some bad stuff from it. Like, no, keep it as it is, so that when history is told, we can say, hey, like this is what a book or what storytelling was like during this particular time.
Yeah.
Now, here's the side of it that I do understand, right? For people who do enjoy these books, who I don't know, people who fucking live in like rural Pennsylvania, I guess, they probably might want to be able to read these books and enjoy the book and enjoy the story without being offended as they're reading it, right? So I get that. Like, hey, I like the thing. I want to be able to enjoy it. But if like certain language can be removed, I would appreciate that, right? I would enjoy it more. I get that part too.
Yeah.
I just don't think rewriting it, I guess I just don't get it. Like, why?
Yeah, and when you combine it with the fact that they left in other references and words and shit that could also be considered like racist and shit like that.
Who was in the room deciding what gets removed and what is kept, right?
Yeah.
Why do we keep homosexuality as a stubborn disability? Why keep that?
I'm not even sure if I fully comprehend what they're even trying to say.
I think they're just saying it's like not like a real thing. It's a disability. It's
how is it a
stubborn
disability
one.
though? Like, what is a disability? Like, what is it that you, I guess, can't do?
I guess they're likening it to fucking like being like having mental health issues or like actual real disabilities, like someone in a wheelchair. It's like, those are very different things.
I don't. Anyways, but I'm sorry. I might have cut you off.
No.
More? Okay. So I think the heart's in the right place, but it like what we were talking about before the podcast, which is like this is symbolic, sure. And I guess you could argue that like in books, right? Like that's if you really want to influence the world, put something in a book, right? And I guess that could have been, that's probably more true like 30 years ago than it is today, right? But if you want to put something in there, that's where you sort of layer in, I think what they might call like or what we might use colloquially like Inception, right? Like you just put it in a book, and then when people read it, they might not like they become more accepting of the thing because it's like, oh yeah, whatever, like I read that, and you just absorb it that way, right? And yeah, I call these niggas all the time, like it's fine, like, but I think once you start like removing all these things, I think you're not dealing with the actual underlying issue. You're just doing a thing that's like barely even like a Band-Aid over it, and it's like, for what? Like, for
just covering it up.
Yeah, like there's no, what are we really gaining here by doing this? And also, I still maintain, who the fuck's checking for Bond books?
Yeah.
Like, who's doing that?
Yeah, like
who's reading these books? Literally,
I might go to Barnes and Noble today and just stand in the Bond section. Like, it's gonna be right next to the section with the new Bibles. I want to see who walks down this aisle and picks it up, and I bet when they see me seeing them, they're gonna put it back.
Whoops. Is this the new edition or the old one?
Worse than the people who like, hey, here's the new edition. Like, nah, I want the old. I want the original. It's like, is that person worse than the person buying the new book?
And you know what? They actually might be onto something, because now we're going to be able to tell like who's who. Like maybe this is like the long play for seeing who's actually racist. If like instead of getting like they purposefully go back and get the older edition, and like knowingly so, it's like, oh yeah, you're
if I see
racist.
someone get the old Bond book and then get the new Bible, I'm like,
racist, yeah.
You know what? Let's talk for a second. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. I want to figure this out.
Or not talk. Yeah, we could also.
I feel like I'd have to know. I don't care if they're racist or whatever. Like, listen, coffee's on me. Explain this.
Yeah. So, anyways, I thought that was like an interesting thing that they were doing, and it actually reminds me of when they did. Was it Gone in the Wind or something like that?
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. That they went back and like they edited some stuff out or something like that. Or I guess maybe they preempted the movie with like some sort of warning, like, hey, this is pretty fucking racist.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that a little bit, and even that I'm like, whatever. I do okay.
Yeah, I just don't. I get why the publication company is doing it, because they're like, hey, we still want to sell books, right?
Yeah.
We still want people to. We're still in the business of making money, and like in having offensive language in these books is not. It's bad for business, right? I get that side of it. I get the business side of it. The social side of it, like who's like, yo, I still want to read these books without the offensive language. Like, why are you reading the books?
Yeah, I mean, I don't begrudge people for like.
No, of course not. Like
reading, period.
People read, but like,
these specific books.
Yeah,
why? Like,
I want the new edition.
Yeah.
Of the Bond books.
Of the Bond books. Yeah,
without the offensive
what
language, of course, but the new edition.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm ragging too much about like Bond because it's just it feels like. And I understand that's where, obviously, like that's where it started for Bond, right? Was with the books, Ian Fleming's books. But it's just like, I don't know if I've ever come across anybody who like literally like read the fucking books, like unless it was like a super old, like maybe part of like my dad's generation, maybe. But somebody, like now, today,
yeah,
you're still reading Bond books.
They're probably gonna get. They can't wait for the Fast and Furious books to come out.
Vin Diesel. Oh my! Could you imagine?
And Toretto thrusts the gears into fourth. Like, why are we reading this? In a blaze of glory, the GTO speeds away. Like,
and then the car took off to spaces. What are we?
Letty turns to him in the long gaze and says, "Like, what the fuck? Why am I reading this shit?"
Just one full page that says family.
That's the final line in the book, and then they close it like that was a good read. They shoot themselves in the head.
Warm milk,
in rural Pennsylvania.
Yo, somebody in Pennsylvania is gonna come looking for you.
They're coming right now. They got to walk though. It's gonna be
it's gonna be a while.
Be good for a while.
Okay, so let's talk real quick about so Nepo baby. We're seeing this more and more. I don't know why more and more articles are like writing about this issue, if you could even say like it's an issue. But people have some really strange takes, and I implore people to. Just because somebody has criticism of you doesn't mean that you have to sink to their level with your stupid reply. I don't know who Hopper Penn is.
No
he's an actor.
idea who this guy is.
He's an actor apparently. Maybe he's been in some things I know. I don't know. I have no idea. But basically, I guess he was doing an interview and he gave his thoughts about like the term Nepo baby. And how people might consider him to be because he's the son of Sean Penn and Robin Wright. And so he's got famous parents who are actors, and he's now an actor as well. And so he said, I don't give a shit about that because I'm not one. And it said it came up when we were shooting, and I guess he's talking about a movie that he was doing. And I think this movie in particular because it was written is directed by Steven Spielberg's daughter and written by Stephen King's son. And so clearly this had a lot of sort of nepotism all over it.
Yeah.
Because of who their parents are. So he said, it came up when we were shooting. Destry had shown me an article calling it a nepotism film, and I just laughed about it. I was like, they're just pissed that they're not in the movie. And I would argue, yes, I think that's part of the argument here. And he said then Ben Stiller backed us up, and he also comes from an actor family, so I really don't care. I'm never going to see those people. I think this is this really annoys the fuck out of me. Not because he sounds like a privileged douchebag, although he kind of does, but it annoys me because it's a very simple question to answer. Are you the benefactor of having very famous people as parents? Clearly, right? Do you still work hard? Sure. I don't know. I don't know this dude specifically, but sure. Let's say he does work hard, right? Both things can be fucking true. Like, I don't understand why like you're like, I'm not a nepotism baby. It's like, but you are. Like you like, and I guess that has connotation with it in terms of just like people saying like, oh, well, you didn't work for what you have. But that's stupid. Like you can work hard, still work hard and earn a lot of things, but you clearly are getting a leg up from who your parents are. Like, are you telling me if his parents weren't Sean Penn and Robin Wright that he'd still be an actor?
Yeah, I mean maybe, but like his path. The
chances
that
the path will be a lot harder, and also the likelihood that that's the career. Like generally speaking, there are a lot of people who follow the career paths of their parents, right? So if your mom was an accountant, right? Like chances are you're going to have something to do with an accounting somehow,
Yeah, if
somewhere,
your
right?
father was a boxer and your brother's a world champion, you're probably going to be a shitty boxer too, and end up fighting
lose
Jake Paul.
to Jake Paul. Yeah. So I this annoys the shit out of me because it's like I don't understand why people on both sides keep like making it so that it's like this weird conversation. You don't work hard. It's like I do work hard. It's like, but that's not. It should just be you have very famous parents. The reason why you might have gotten your leg into the game is because of these parents. That shouldn't be like a fucking like, oh my God, like that means I haven't worked at all. It's like, no, you can still work hard and be good at your craft and just be really fucking good at what you do, but still admit that like, hey, I've gotten a leg up here. Like I clearly, right?
So I like his comment. So this is an excerpt from an interview that he did with fucking some magazine. I don't know, but it's in the article here. He says, I won't deny the privilege that I have, even if it's just the fact that I have a really good source of information and someone to
But I don't think that was him that was saying it. I think it was somebody else that was saying this.
You know what? I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
This is Kaya Gerber or whatever.
Yeah.
Cindy Crawford's daughter. Okay.
Yeah.
So my bad. I thought that was him when I read it initially. Yeah. So in his case, like, I think what he's saying is he's like, you know what? I have like great parents and I'm fortunate to be the son of these two very recognizable and loved actors and actresses, but I'm still like a hardworking person. I would like to believe that's true. I would like to believe that he is someone who's like aware of his privilege, but he's like, I also work hard. Like, and also like, you're absolutely right. It's normal for someone to follow in their parents' footsteps. If my parents are famous actors, I want to be an actor too. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to be a fucking coal miner. No,
I mean, you might rebel. Like maybe you might. I think that's a thing.
One of Arnold Schwarzenegger has two sons, very different children. You know, one is just like, my dad's rich and I drive a Range Rover. And I shop at Whole Foods.
What do you want from me?
I overpay. I like it because my dad's Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've got the money, and the other kid is like more like his dad, right?
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I really don't care about these kinds of stories. Nepotism is a real thing. It is something that like I don't blame people for taking advantage of. Like if my father is a CEO of a major company, right? Like, okay, I'm going to want to work at that company. And then hopefully one day I get to take over the job as CEO, right? Yeah. And like, will things be handed to you? Yeah. But like also as a parent, like this is the life that you want to create for your children. Yeah. And then for people to be mad at your children for taking advantage of that, it seems kind of odd, right? All I would really want is for someone to be like, hey, you know what? Like my parents worked hard to give me this life that I have. I'm aware of my privilege, but I'm still a hardworking person. Yeah. And like I'm doing this because it's what I want to do. It's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
If you say that, okay, conversation over. It's done with, no problem at all. But if you're like one of those people that's like, I'm completely unaware of my privilege. I work hard for everything I have, and like, so
my
what if
parents
I was
didn't have anything to do with this? And it's like,
so what if I just happened to live in Beverly Hills and like, my first car was like a Porsche, and it's like, those things were given to you. You didn't work for those things. Like, just be aware of your privilege. Be just socially aware. Don't fucking stand on other people's shoulders because like they weren't born into the privilege that you have. As long as you're aware and hardworking, that's really all you can ask them.
Yeah, and I think it's really telling when you're like really like sensitive about it, because as much as he's like, I don't care about it, right? And obviously this is a selective article that's written from.
Yeah, this is a very intentional article. Someone wanted to write this story and they're like, all right,
exactly.
We got this guy saying this thing, write it up.
Exactly, and I'm sure to him he's just saying like an off the cuff, like, yeah, whatever, like this is what my thoughts are on this specific thing. But I think there are a lot of people who would say the same thing. But it's a really stupid like, and I think it really rears its head in like politics, right? So you have like a lot of these like politicians who have kids, and then the kids grow up, and then they're also politicians, and then they're like, well, I don't know, I think people just like naturally like really like me, and it's like, no, I think you have a fucking long
last name Kennedy.
Nobody gives a fuck about like Jeb Bush. If Jeb Bush wasn't a fucking Bush, nobody would care about him. Sorry, Jeb, I don't mean to be like.
I've never even heard of this person.
He's another Bush son. Again, you didn't even know that he existed, right? But without his parent, his dad being president, as also his brother being president, wouldn't know who the fuck this guy is. And I think that it's this attitude of like, no, I just really work hard, and people just really naturally fucking like me, and yada yada. It's like, No, just admit that like you're getting a fucking leg up, and also in politics, it shouldn't be a fucking thing, right? Like we should have term limits, not only just for the politicians themselves, but their entire fucking family, right? No more of you motherfuckers can run. Once you run, you know, and you win, everybody from your family fucking tree, no.
Yeah, it's like
we've had enough.
It's like a parking permit if you live in the city. It's like
you
get 2 per household, right? That's it. Only 2 of you motherfuckers
can't re-up
can do
this bitch.
Yeah. You other motherfuckers got to park like the block over or something like that where it's free. We're not going to give 12 of you parking passes.
Exactly. But anyways, I just thought this was an amusing article because you know his defiant. I don't care about this. It doesn't fucking matter. It's like it's not that serious, bro.
I don't know who this guy is. Definitely not as cool as his dad. Sean Penn is cool as fuck. I don't know. This guy is. You know.
Sean Penn's
bro went out.
I believe the term is problematic.
To interview like El Chapo.
Yeah, I don't.
He knew he. Bro,
I don't
the
have
U.S. government was looking for El Chapo.
Yeah,
where was he? With Sean Penn, just hanging out in the jungle, chatting it up. Holy shit!
I don't know. I kind of look at Sean Penn for as much as he does all this shit. Like I remember when the Ukraine shit started to break out, and then he was like over there like filming, I guess documenting it, and it's just like, is he just capitalizing on this fucked up situation? Like,
yeah,
you know. So, anyways, but I don't have any beef with Sean Penn. Let's wrap this up. Let's talk super quick about best superhero trilogy finales.
Blade. Oh wait, trilogy finales.
Yeah. What are we doing?
I don't know.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down. Okay. Yeah. So the top 10 superhero threequels according to Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I think this is specifically talking about like the third movie in a trilogy. What's the best third movie in a trilogy? On this list, they have a lot of movies that I would not consider to be great by any means. But I would say that, well, let me let you go first.
This is an incredible list. Not in a good way. I mean, there's some shit movies on here. Like, I'm just gonna eliminate some right off the fucking bat.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3. No,
why do you hate this movie so much? You hate it so much.
I do. Yeah. I do. It was terrible. Okay. It's just watching Robert Downey Jr. whine for like 3 hours.
I mean, that's every Iron Man movie.
Yeah, it's terrible. Spider-Man 3, where Tobey Maguire had that like dance montage thing.
That shook my faith in movies.
Oh my God, I felt like
it's become a meme.
It was like sexual assault watching that. Like, I felt
okay.
I might sue somebody.
We'll strike that from the podcast. But things kind of come boomerang back around because now it's come back to being sort of like a meme now with Tobey Maguire dancing and shit like that. So now it's become popular, but only because it's silly.
Yeah. Once you have enough time to like let the pain pass, the trauma. Once you've like found, you go to therapy, you learn how to deal with it. You maybe could laugh at it years later, but at the time when I remember being in the theater, like
jaw dropped.
Yeah. What did I just see?
Are we watching?
I didn't ask for this. That's not Spider-Man. We're watching a very different film here. So I'm going to nix that one from the list. X-Men has 2. That's how many terrible X-Men movies have been made. They have 2 end of trilogy films on here. So there's X-Men Last Stand, which came out in 2006. But then you also have fucking X-Men Apocalypse on here, which came out in 2016, so 10 years later. So they made the third one, X-Men Last Stand, in 2006, and then they were like, hey, let's do 3 more. A whole new trilogy. Let's fuck them all up. Fuck most of them up. And then we get X-Men Apocalypse in 2016. Neither of them were good.
Yeah. They've got some very questionable things on the list here.
Batman Forever. So this is the one. So Batman Forever came out in 1995. This is the film with, who was it? Val Kilmer. Was it?
Yeah,
no, Kilmer. Was it Val Kilmer? Yeah. So we got Val Kilmer. We got Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. This also had Poison Ivy in here, and we had Robin. I forget who played Robin. The guy from like 90210.
Chris O'Donnell, I think is his name.
Yeah. Yep. Not fucking horrible, but also not great.
Yeah,
I think this is a very easy discussion, in my opinion. It's got to be Dark Knight Rise. Like, what else would it be?
I want to say something very, I think, what I feel like is going to be very controversial. Maybe not controversial. I would argue that Civil War might have been the best superhero threequel, as they're calling it, which is
ending of the threequel.
Yeah. Now that's soon not to be true since we're getting another Captain America movie, albeit without Chris Evans. But I would say Civil War. I would say Civil War because as a movie that just stands on its own. I liked The Dark Knight Rises because it was a nice way to wrap up that trilogy of movies, right? But just as a movie on its own, I don't know if it weren't for The Dark Knight, I don't know if I feel the same way about The Dark Knight Rises. I think The Dark Knight Rises might be more of a mid movie than
what with Bane.
I think it might have been a
no
little bit more.
No one cared who I was. So I put on the mask. It was like, oh, it's not painful. It was like,
darkness.
What he was like, what if I take that off? Will it hurt or something like that? I forget what he actually said. He was like, yes, for you. Like that was my favorite line in the movie.
Yeah, but like, hear me out. I'm saying like
there were no quotables in Civil War.
I don't care about the quotas. I'm saying as a movie as it stands on its own, I feel like Civil War might be, if not a better movie, but a better standalone film than The Dark Knight Rises. I know, very controversial to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's dangerous.
Yeah,
you might want to leave town.
I might be go to Pennsylvania. But anyways, well,
so the Rotten Tomatoes score for Civil War 90%, and I think I'm not in the Rotten Tomatoes score for the final Dark Knight Rises 87%. So very close here, right? I think the difference is Captain America, the third one, Civil War. It was so easy to enjoy and like because it was such a big movie. It had everybody in it, right? Like, how are you not going to love?
But also,
Thor,
it was a good
Spider-Man.
basis for a story. Meaning that
Thor
like, he just had.
Was he in it?
No,
Thor
he
wasn't in it. Yeah. Thor. Whoever has Thor on the team wins.
But that's why neither of them did.
Yeah, it's fucking you can't have Thor.
But I think that's why it wasn't just an enjoyable movie because it had everybody in it. I think it was an enjoyable movie because of the basis for it, meaning that there was this disagreement between Tony and
Tony and
Steve
Cap.
Rogers that like about how superheroes should be what their duty was.
Yeah, if they should have governance.
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting like philosophical question that I think was I don't think we ever really got to like an answer for it. But at least we saw the struggle between them. I'm just trying to say as a standalone movie, forget the other two movies with in the trilogy. As a standalone film, I feel like this might edge out The Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises, I feel like was a great movie, but when I look at it just on its own, without having everything that came before it, and with it wrapping up the story, there are a lot of like, kind of like when I look back, I'm like, that was kind of like whatever. Like, so for instance, Bruce, Bane breaks his fucking back, and he heals by just sitting
sheer
in a fucking
will. Just no Kaiser Permanente, no Blue Cross Blue Shield. Fucking
He just hold it up on a rope, and then he can like start walking in.
Slips the disc back in.
What?
to his spinal column.
Like, all I'm trying to say is there were some things about that movie that is just like, all right, cool. Like,
and then does an Olympic long jump. Makes it
twice.
Yeah, only two motherfuckers have done it ever in history, and he just broke his back, and
and he does it.
Yeah, he could. I mean, Adrian Peterson, him. Like who else has come back from a major injury and still
in record time?
Yeah, rush for 1,000 yards. My God. You're right. Like there are some like holes in this film, but I think personally, like for me, the movie that I could watch, the movie that I have watched more than between these two is The Dark Knight Rises.
But I think the point that I'm trying to make is that it's a satisfactory end to the trilogy. So I feel like, but that's part of the allure of it is that it's just a fantastic ending to that trilogy. But when I just think about just the movie, I don't know if I have as much, like I'd rather, I think, watch Civil War than that. When I, like, if I'm to watch either trilogy, I think I'm picking the Dark Knight trilogy every time. But just that movie, Civil War versus Dark Knight Rises, I don't know. I don't think it's as obvious as people would be like, oh, Dark Knight Rises is clearly the
Yeah,
better
I mean,
movie.
I think it's very close. I don't knock anyone for saying Civil War is the better film.
Yeah.
My nod goes to Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
I just think the storytelling was great. Visually, it was great. The Bane,
The fire.
as much as I love
It
Heath
rises.
Ledger, Bane, Tom Hardy as Bane was just incredible.
Amazing feat how they got Tom Hardy, who's all of 5'5",
to look
so
6'6"
menacing
and jacked. Yeah,
Jesus, talk about perspective.
Tom Cruise is somewhere like,
Yeah.
how did they do that? I've made 45 Mission Impossibles and we still haven't figured that one out.
Holy shit! All right, let's get the fuck out of here. I think we've given the people enough. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Actually, no, different time, different place, probably, or different time, same place. But yeah, with that, I think we'll go ahead and hit our usual protocol here.
Fade out.
Yes, sir.